city administration, along with some of the military experts, they were basically planning of how the movement of the essential supplies is going to take place inside the city. Because remember, what has happened so far is that there is a 40-mile convoy of the Russian army, the armored vehicles, which has basically been stalled. And while the Ukrainian army, they've been able to hold fort in the capital city of Kyiv. That's also because they've been able to get their regular supply in terms of their logistics, in terms of the fact that their fuel, etc. All of that they've been able to get it right on time, and that's the reason why perhaps you're looking at they were able to hold fort at least in Kyiv. And this from down south, once you enter, that's the place where how the supplies were basically being sent inside. But this was a surprise bombing that's actually taking place, if I may tell all our viewers right now, because most of the people that we have spoken to, they were hoping that this area will not be really touched upon. But what you're seeing right now is that right in the heart of a residential area. Take a look at on the left hand side. Take a look at the number of buildings that are here. On the other side, take a look what's happened. Here, civilians have been staying, and these civilian areas have been targeted. Take a look at this area, a playground, a sort of a playground, a small playground for kids. These areas have now been targeted by the Russians. So this is the 18th city that Republic Media Network has reached, and we are right now just at the tip of Kyiv, where the entire focus has been. The Russian army, as per the latest satellite imagery, they have basically moved in 20 kilometers. They're just about 20 kilometers from the center of Kyiv, and it is essentially being said that in the days to come, they perhaps would be trying to enter the city once again. Network has now reached Kyiv Oblast region, the very place which happens to be one of the key areas of the supply chain for the Ukrainian army as well as the humanitarian aid that's been carried out. We are in a place called Bila Serkwa, where you can see the bombing that actually took place. This is a completely residential area, and important to point out, a strategic position as far as Ukrainian army is concerned, because from this particular city, 50 miles from here is south of Kyiv, where the supply for the Ukrainian army takes place, and also this is the open line for the humanitarian aid to move inside the capital city. And that's the reason why many people, experts here, say that this was primarily the reason why this city, Bila Serkwa, which is in the Kyiv Oblast region, was targeted. What you see right now is an area which was is a residential area, and roughly 2 bombs were basically dropped in this area where the bombing took place. And take a look at this particular building and the destruction that has been caused. While for the longest time, this was seen as one of those cities that perhaps the Russians wouldn't really be touching upon, and more importantly, this was seen as a strategic location for them, for the Ukrainians. But it turns out that a sudden aerial bombardment has taken place in this area, leading to this kind of devastation. Take a look at it. This entire area, at least about 6 households that you can see right now, 6 households have been damaged in the aerial bombardment that took place. Take a look at this side of the building. This is how parts of this building has been reduced to rubble. And important to point out here is that the bombing actually took place in the morning when people were still living in the house, and that's the kind of destruction that's taken place. Roofs have been ripped off, window panes have been completely broken. This entire house, as you see on the left hand side, this house has been completely damaged. And take a look at the impact of the bombing that's taken place. Building after building in this entire area has been completely damaged. And what we have witnessed is that city after city that we've actually been going to, residential areas are being targeted. But why Bila Serkwa becomes very, very crucial, because this is part of the Kyiv Oblast region. It is south of Kyiv, and all the supply, basically supplies in terms of the essential goods, are being sent from this very city, and it goes inside Kyiv. Important to point out here is that this, many would say, is yet another attempt that has now been made by the Russians so that they choke the supplies of the Ukrainian army.